I want to welcome everyone here. I am, of course, Senate Republican Leader Rob Ortt. I am joined by several of my colleagues who are here today, and you'll be hearing from a few of them momentarily. We're here today to talk about our energy affordability package. This is the Senate Republican package that attempts to deal and address the sky-high utility rates and energy rates that not only are high today, but that are going up as a direct result of Democrat policies that have been passed over the last several years. And it also, I think, is a stark contrast from the bills that we saw last week. Unlike that package, this one will actually do something to address utility rates. It will actually do something in the short term, in the immediate future, to help people put more money in their pocket, keep more money, and return money to them, as well as do things which you'll hear about that will help, I guess, mitigate the increasing costs that you're seeing as a result of the ridiculous green mandates that have gotten us here today. And make no mistake, while there are a lot of things that go into energy prices, there's a reason why New York State is 50% over the national average. There is a reason, and the reason are the policies that we have done here, specifically, and I would put sort of an umbrella, the CLCPA and those kind of green new scam mandates that have come out of it. Skyrocketing utility bills that New Yorkers are seeing didn't come out of thin air. They're causing real damage to our constituents. You're going to hear from Senator Chan, who's in the city. There's over 1,000 folks that do not have power right now. I woke up this morning, it was minus 16 where I live. I drove as fast as I could to get here. It wasn't much warmer. But the fact of the matter is that this is New York. This is, for a lot of us, this is winter. And not having access not only to reliable, affordable energy, but having a redundancy where you can safely access affordable, reliable power is putting lives in jeopardy. Last week in the Democrat and Chronicle, which covers the city of Rochester, Monroe County, the Finger Lakes, they detailed how more than 400,000 customers have had their power and gas shut off because they couldn't afford the payments. And I want to connect what we're talking about here to that. See, my colleagues will talk, they'll bring up that same quote and they'll say, shame on the utility companies. We're here to explain to you why those payments are so high and why fewer and fewer people can afford those payments. And what we're trying to do directly is an attempt to directly address that, both short-term and long-term. Those numbers the 400,000 are worse than we were in the Great Recession in 2008, to put that in perspective. Direct result of the unrealistic, unattainable, and costly mandates passed in this building by my colleagues across the aisle. The CLCPA, the all-electric mandates, the cap and invest, just to name a few, are contributing and will contribute to even higher utility rates. So we have bills to stop these mandates, and second, we have bills that will actually let New Yorkers keep more of their hard-earned money. Why is there more than $2 billion sitting in a NYSERDA slush fund, unused? This conference thinks that money should go back to the ratepayers, and my colleague, Senator O'Mara, will talk more about that in detail. We also want to give New Yorkers a utility tax holiday. You might have heard this from my colleague, Senator Rob Rolison, last week, I believe it was, but we're going to hear more about that from Senator Chan. We want to increase transparency and accountability within the PSC, the faceless bureaucrats my colleagues like to hide behind when it comes to these rate hikes. That's another one. It's going to be the utilities and it's going to be the PSC. They will take zero accountability, zero for why these rates are what they are. But make no mistake, that is who is most responsible. Our package also includes a host of other bills to help New Yorkers. Bottom line, this conference stands for affordable energy, reliable energy, and energy choice. That's a big, to me, this conference is not saying you can't have renewable energy. That absolutely, I believe, should be a part of our portfolio. It should be. a part of the portfolio. It shouldn't be the whole portfolio. We need reliable, affordable energy. We need energy choice. What I believe this state is doing by limiting, by mandating out certain forms of energy, it really is, and I've said this for a long time, we are exporting energy, or we are exporting jobs and we're importing energy. And New Yorkers are paying the price of that. Again, over 50% above the national average, almost up to, I think it's just shy of 40% above Pennsylvania, a very close neighboring state that is probably also very cold. And yet they pay up to 40% less than New Yorkers to heat their homes, to heat their businesses. And it's because of do-nothing bills, like we saw last week, and a combination of that and the green mandates that have come out of the CLC EPA. That is a large reason why. This conference stands for affordability with the ratepayers and lowering costs, and these bills will do that. Some of these bills will do that and then some. It's now a great privilege of mine to call up somebody who has been no stranger on this issue. He is our ranker on the Energy Committee. He is a absolute pitbull, reliable advocate for ratepayers, for bringing down these costs, holding anyone accountable, whether it's utilities, whether it's regulators who aren't doing their job, or whether it's my colleagues across the aisle. He stands with our ratepayers and lowering their costs. He knows this issue inside and out, and that is, our great ranker on energy, Senator Mario Matera.
Wow. I don't remember you being called Pitbull, but I thank you so much for that. But thank you, leader.
It's a good phrase.
You know what? For all you know, your focus on energy crisis, that's energy crisis that we're going through right now, and as well as affordability in New York State. Something that the Democrats had failed to provide to our residents with over the last 8 years plus. My name is New York State Senator Mario Matera. I have the honor of serving as the ranking Republican member on the Senate Energy Committee, and I thank Leader Ort for putting me in this position. And it's been very interesting, all of our committee meetings, that a lot of people want to actually come to our committee meetings because it's very active. This is an issue that we have raised repeatedly since I was first elected in 2020. And the sad truth is that the reality is hitting our residents like the cold weather outside that we have these last couple of weeks. Higher bills, uncertainty, and fear of being forced to move to other states to have an affordable life, like Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Texas, South Dakota. How about Idaho? My beautiful wife already says she's already looking in Tennessee. And I said this once before, I do not want to move to Tennessee. I love our state, but this is just out of control. This winter has seen record low temperatures and a massive snowstorm that impacted every region of our state. Consecutive weeks of below freezing in every part of New York State. And by the way, it was 2 degrees when I was driving up here this morning. That is causing all New Yorkers to use more costly energy for our families to heat their homes and businesses so businesses can heat their buildings. This winter is proving our point that electric heating is not ready for heating our homes, and that is endangering our residents. And everybody in this room knows this could have been avoided. Our conference has repeatedly warned New York State Democrats about the impact this will have on utility bills, and those warnings have fallen on deaf ears. If Albany Democrats have accepted reality and realized that unfunded mandates, again, we love unfunded mandates and they do a good job about unfunded mandates, would force utility companies to make costly changes to prepare for all electric requirements, we could have protected our utility ratepayers from this financial pain. And Governor Hochul should have realized that waiting until the end to change course and accept reality was costing our ratepayers not millions, not billions, but trillions with a T. Utilities are out of control. Over 100% bills have increased in certain parts of our state of New York. This hurts all New Yorkers in their wallets and their pocketbooks. Now, after the impact on our ratepayers is coming to light, she finally accepted that we need an all-above approach. Yes, we could talk about nuclear. Listen to me, somebody that's in the trades, nuclear is wonderful. But you know what? Guess what? 15 to 20 years down the road before that's going to happen. And if the other side thinks that electric heat pumps or mini splits will keep our residents warm for less money, they need to rethink their plans. Electric heat does not work with this extreme cold weather. It does not work. We need to pass bills that we are talking about today to save our ratepayers. One of my Senate bills, S1167, that will repeal all Electric Buildings Act. It needs to be repealed because just remember something. The governor just suspended it because there is a lawsuit, but she just suspended it for 2 years. We know it's an election year. We know what the governor is doing with this. New York State must also commit to getting the Nessie natural gas pipeline operational. Very important. Right now, we have the power plants running on oil because of the capacity shortage. This Nessie pipeline and the Constitution pipeline are that important. It shows, look at the weather what we're having. The capacity, imagine that, we have a capacity shortage right now. And we must reverse the repeal on the 100-foot rule. How terrible is that they're doing this? All they're doing is to hurt our residents. So it's going to charge them to have natural gas in their homes if they want that. Just like what the leader said, energy choice. What are we all about here? And the job loss with this 100-foot rule. Union good jobs are going to be lost because of this 100-foot rule. I have another bill that will require all New York State to clearly tell our residents how much Democratic policies are costing them. Senate Bill 5611 will require New York State to create a Climate Action Cost Council. That will show our residents what these policies will cost in real money. How much it's going to cost us? Because guess what? It's going to cost something, and all our ratepayers will be paying for this. This council will show the real economic impact of the CLCPA and how much it is costing the families and businesses of New York State. After years of the CLCPA causing untold damage, our residents deserve the truth about the cost of the unrealistic energy fiasco. And I say it all the time, dysfunctional government at its worst. We as a conference have no problem moving towards cleaner energy future, but we need to examine all sources of reliable energy and realistic clean energy, retooling our existing power plants for carbon capture, and combined cycle power plants, which are over 50% carbon free. Caithness 2, very important. As soon as that pipeline comes into Long Island, Caithness 2. Green hydrogen, geothermal networks, sewage heat recovery expansion, and yes, of course, nuclear. As I said, goals are good, but unfunded mandates are wrong. And I'm going to say it because my friends love this. We need a plan and not a ban. And our conference is ready to work to make changes to protect our future energy needs for all New Yorkers. Now, I would like to bring up somebody that's been very vocal with everything with our energy needs. He sits on the Energy Committee with our great Senator Walczak, Tom O'Mara. Senator Tom O'Mara.
Thank you, Mario, and thank you all for being here today for this important topic. Yes, a lot needs to be changed with the CLCPA to get it based in reality and not a utopian scheme. But that's going to take time. And the parties in charge in this state, the Democrat parties, all one-party control, seem to be beholden to the climate zealot interests. And while they're grasping reality and seeing this is not going to be actually feasible, affordable, or reliable, they're scared to death to backtrack because of that climate lobby that's out there. And we've got plenty of bills to deal with that, to deal with the changes that need to be done going forward so that we have affordable and reliable energy in this state. Leader Ort mentioned the power outage in New York City. Just in my district on Saturday evening, the whole village of Watkins Glen was without power, without electricity for 5 or 6 hours because of the overloaded usage of people heating their homes with electric. The crews and the utility actually doing the repairs to that were telling people, please limit your use of electric heat because the supply wasn't there. Mario said it was 2 degrees on the way up here. But it's warmer in the south. It was 8 below when I woke up this morning. It doesn't take long for your house's temperature to plummet without your heat running. We need reliable natural gas that can run in a power outage. But in the short term, we've talked about a few things that we're going to do to try to bring some relief to people's pocketbooks, their home budgets. Leader Ort, Mario talked about those. Senator Chan's going to talk about some in a minute. But, you know, the surcharges on our bill, really unknown. They need to be itemized. I have legislation to require the itemization of all these various surcharges and what they make up on the bill, because right now, between surcharges and taxes on our utility bills, it's between 40 and 50% of the utility bill. First of all, ratepayers deserve to know exactly what they're paying for. And I've been saying for years that when ratepayers find out what's going on, heads are going to roll. And that's the head of NYSERDA. That's the head of the Public Service Commission. They better be polishing their resumes because they're going to be going out the door. It's that simple. They're in charge of this. The Democrat majorities in the legislature have set this up so that all the decisions basically are coming out of the second floor with Governor Hochul through actions of the Public Service Commission and NYSERDA, and forcing the utilities to take certain actions that will drive up rates. And we're already seeing it amongst our colleagues across the aisle, pointing this way. We didn't do it. We didn't take this action that raised that rate. We didn't take this action. Public Service Commission did it. NYSERDA's doing it. No, they set it up that, so they have deniability in this, and that's the way it's been set up, and it needs to be rectified. And actions that are going to impact people's bills need to be passed and approved by the legislature, not unelected bodies of the Public Service Commission and NYSERDA, all appointed by the governor. On the surcharges, NYSERDA collects all these, the utilities collect all these surcharges every month in your bill. They hold it in an account, and then NYSERDA, for whatever programs, they go to the utilities and say, okay, send us over some of that money so that we can fund some of these Green New Deal projects. What those projects are, we don't know because NYSERDA is not telling us. And right now, NYSERDA has in excess of $2.4 billion sitting in reserves, and their financial plan going forward shows those types of balances being over $2 billion for the forthcoming years. That money in this time of need should be being returned and rebated to customers, to ratepayers, to provide some relief during these times. Senator Chan's going to talk about holiday from the taxes, similar to what we did with gasoline a few years ago, to provide some immediate relief. The other side of that $2.4 billion that NYSERDA is sitting on is the utilities have an account with money sitting in them too, that NYSERDA says they don't know how much they hold. The utilities aren't telling us how much they have in these accounts. So I have legislation that is going to require the disclosure of exactly what amount of money the utilities are sitting on, waiting for NYSERDA to ask for it. NYSERDA then says in the hearings at the budget, well, we've got all this money, but it's committed. They won't tell us what it's committed for. So we're going to have legislation that's going to require the disclosure of what money's actually been committed, what projects they're committing this money to, when it's supposed to be spent, and similar requirements of the Green Bank, which NYSERDA funds to help with other projects that, again, we don't know how that money's being used. We don't know what the terms of those loans might be. That is about disclosure. It's about transparency, so the ratepayers and citizens of New York know what they're paying for. Because when they know what they're paying for, they're not going to be happy, and heads are going to roll. We're headed that direction right now. And with that, I will turn it over to Senator Chan.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Chan from Southern Brooklyn, and it is certainly a privilege and an honor to be sent up here by my neighborhood of Southern Brooklyn to represent them. As we speak right now, you know, a few years ago, let me go back a little bit. I did a science project with my little daughter, and I talked about this in the past. Somewhere, long before I was a senator, a governor said, hey, let's shut down Indian Point Energy Center. What could possibly go wrong? Well, right now, as we speak, 6 years later, I have 1,500 residents in Brooklyn without electricity. And you know what happened when you have no electricity during a record cold like this? Their pipes freeze, so they have no water. And their hot water heater, requires electricity to operate, even if it's a gas heater. So they have no hot water. Their houses are just frozen, like Frozen, the movie, Frozen, like an ice castle. These people are in hotel rooms right now, and some people want to go to their in-laws, but they'd rather spend it in peace and go to a hotel room. My constituents are being crushed under soaring energy prices. It's directly the decisions by the Democrats down the hall. The hardworking people who live in my Senate district are everyday New Yorkers, with Chinese, Europeans, Italian, Irish, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, with restaurants, retail businesses, bodegas, 99-cent stores, and salons, laundromats, whatever it is, union guys, workers, teachers, blue and white collar, trying to make a living. Most of us live a modest means. Many are struggling to stay afloat already among the high property taxes, high rents, high insurance rates. We are tired that in these tough economic times, we're tired of Albany telling us what we must do. We got to do our part and pay more money, which is money that we don't have in the first place. And what do we get exactly for doing our part? Our needs, our concerns are consistently ignored. Burdensome mandates, such as, oh, you got to have a garbage can now. But wait, you got to have a garbage can, but you got to buy this particular garbage can, which they have a problem manufacturing right now. So there's a lot of New Yorkers that pay for these garbage cans that have not received these garbage cans that are required. And if you don't have a garbage can, you get a ticket. So, burdensome mandates like that are forced onto us, and a government in Albany that thinks they know what is best for my communities and so many other communities across New York State. For instance, the battery storage crusade, for example, right? Despite public opposition to a battery storage project in my district on 17th Avenue and 86th Street, it is in close proximity to a daycare, a preschool, and an elementary school. Shout out to PS 128, I got your back. The project continues to move forward. Well, there's a stop work order right now, but we're gonna see what else we can do. And there's another one being planned right in my district within one block of 2 elementary schools, PS 69 and PS 310. Because someone in Albany decides that this is what's best for us. Well, the people who will actually have to live with these looming threats, well, we don't want it. But their concern is thrown out the window. Because that's what these battery storage units really are, looming threats. There have been countless examples across the country and close to home. Between 2023 and 2025 in Warwick, New York, in Orange County, one battery station had 3 of these fires that burned for days. And I understand these fires, to put them out, you have to bring the ignition temperature to below 500 degrees Celsius to even begin to put them out, and that's nearly impossible. I understand, speaking to a firefighter in my district, he said it takes about 40 to 50,000 gallons of water to put out one Tesla's fire. And some of these batteries are Tesla batteries. So, is this what we want near our schools? The toxins, the fire, near our playgrounds, near our families, our kitchens and our bedrooms, our restaurants? Communities need to have a voice and input on these decisions. And right now we have none. State government can't just barge in and put a battery storage facility wherever they want, near us. How about you listen to us? My bill, Senate 7710, will put a stop to this, prohibiting the construction of certain energy storage systems within 500 feet of a residential abode or a school. We have to ask ourselves, are we seriously willing to sacrifice public safety to achieve these radical energy goals? My colleagues and I aren't. By the way, energy rates are soaring, and people in my district are scared for their electricity bills coming soon. Last night, I was at an event, and I'm not kidding, I was at an event a private dinner, about 60 people, and I asked each constituent, can you raise your hands if your electricity bill last month exceeded $500? About 25 people raised their hands. And I said, how about $1,000? Then the rest of them raised their hands. And that's how bad it has gotten in Brooklyn, New York, and while we have unreliable service as well. So the Public Service Commission just recently approved a rate hike for Con Edison customers in New York City. My constituents are now paying 10.4% more on their electric bills and approximately 15–16% more on their gas bills. How are we supposed to afford this? Between our gas and electric, I myself, I'm paying about $1,400 for a modest two-family home. And by the way, like I said, as I speak, these 1,500 homes have not had electricity for over 2 days. And Con Edison's working. I give them that. They're working, but they keep running into difficulties in the code. So people in Brooklyn are working class individuals who are trying to get by on a day-to-day basis. New Yorkers, Democrats and Republicans alike pleaded with the Public Service not to allow Con Edison to raise our gas and electric bills. It is the wrong time to pile on these new charges to New Yorkers. And we have options. And my colleague, Senator Rolison, has a bill that I co-sponsored that is not without precedence, by the way. It would put a 1-year tax holiday on surcharges and taxes on electric and gas bills. Now, for a guy like me, I'm paying about $12,000 a year. A savings of 25% would equate to about $3,000 for me, maybe a little bit more. And for so many other New Yorkers, this is truly a bill that helps every New Yorker who is a ratepayer, who's paying for gas, paying for electricity. There's no different classes, is going to save different amounts of money. No, it's across the board. We have the money. It's $2 billion sitting around. Now is the perfect time to do it. Let's put our money where our mouth is and really make it affordable to New Yorkers. So at a time when everybody is stretched thin to inflation and among this state's affordability crisis, let's do that. Let's help everybody. The bureaucrats on the Public Service Commission are out of touch. They're not in touch with common people. They're continuing to raise rates, and it's not going to save the grid. It is going to continue to price people out of their house and homes because they can no longer afford to live there. We are reaching a point in New York State where people are choosing, okay, should I eat or should I pay for the heat? So it's not something to be proud of. We have a chance right now to make a difference. Let's do that. We need to do better. Thank you. I turn the mic back to Senator Orr, our leader.
Thank you, Senator Chan. Thank you, Senator O'Mara and Senator Matera. I'll just close by, a couple things ran through my mind as each of the members were talking. So, again, we all agree, no one really contests that the prices we pay here in New York to heat our homes, to power our businesses, our energy prices are high and getting higher. They were high before all this, and they're getting higher to a point, as Senator Chan said, where people are making decisions that people should not have to make in any state, let alone anywhere in America, to feed your family or to heat your home. In some cases, they don't even have the option, because even if they paid the bill, the electricity is out and they can't heat their home. So you have an affordability crisis, but underlying that is also a reliability crisis that we're headed to, because we have a grid that at this time cannot handle the all-electric base load. Base load is what every manufacturer, that's the economy, that's what you need just to meet your economic demand. The grid cannot handle it. So we are cruising, not only asking people to pay more and more, but potentially not even to get the power they've paid for because we can't deliver it. And we're doing it because we've set up timelines and goals that are unattainable under the false premise that my colleagues have posited to the New York citizenry that you have to choose between the environment or what we're putting forward. And the truth is, that's a false choice. You can support reliability, redundancy, affordable energy that we produce in New York, that creates jobs, and you can still be for the environment. You can still pursue those things in a safe, regulatory manner. You can still even lower emissions, because we've lowered emissions over several decades without the CLCPA. They have created a false choice that if you don't support the CLCPA, if you don't support paying a little more, if you don't deal with the brownouts and the blackouts, if you don't let us maybe even, there's an article recently I saw where there is, in the future, possibly even the possibility where the government, the regulators, will be able to actually regulate your power usage in your home. That's not a science fiction movie. That is on the precipice. And if you think that people like Governor Hochul and the faceless bureaucrats they empower and the folks in the Climate Action Council who absolutely believe that they know better than you how to save the planet, that they're not going to take that opportunity, you're not paying attention. This conference stands against that. We think you should decide if you have a gas stove. We think you should decide when you run your dryer and your washer and your furnace. We think you should decide when your family's cold and when they're not. And we think you should have the option in this state, in 2026 America, that reliability, and you should be able to do it in an affordable way. Other states do it. This state is choosing not to. So my colleagues cannot talk about making life more affordable unless they confront this head on. And if they don't, and their package last week shows they are not, then they are not serious about making life more affordable here in the state of New York. So I imagine this is going to be a huge issue in this coming year. We're going to continue to talk about it because our constituents are continuing to talk about it. It's going to be a major issue, no doubt, in every race across this state, as it should be, and we're prepared to have that real conversation. But this is a package. These bills you heard would make a difference in people's lives tomorrow, a real difference. You're talking about thousands of dollars back to people. That's a big deal. That is a big deal. And so we hope our colleagues are paying attention and will maybe champion some of these bills. I'm not going to hold my breath, but we hope so.